Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Third Street Center and the home of the Center for Human Flourishing. My name is Rita Marsh, and I am a co-founder of this organization that has been in existence for 20 years, coming up, believe it or not. And I'm very, very happy that tonight we could bring to you the work of Connie Baxter Marlowe and Andrew Cameron Bailey in the form of this wonderful ebook, a guidebook to the conscious, loving universe. So Connie and Andrew, please join me here while I tell folks a little about you.
Happy to be here with you again, Rita. We just love you. It's been many years, but we've been
happy
working
you're
together.
back again for yet another program.
How many have we done here? It's been a few.
Gosh,
Over
it's been since 2009 when you came for the Native American gathering, and then Andrew came along, and my gosh, you birthed the trust frequency here and so much more.
We call you our commander.
I just use the word boss.
Boss.
She tells me
Boss
what to do, I
lady.
do it.
So I'm going to read a bit because the bios of these people is pretty incredible. Andrew Cameron Bailey and Connie Baxter Marlowe. They're original thinkers, writers, photographers, filmmakers, futurists, climate solutionaries, and inspirational public speakers. They met at a gathering of indigenous elders and shamans at the Omega Institute in upstate New York in October 2003. It was immediately obvious that they had destiny together, and they got right to work.
Yep.
Their explorations into the essence of reality have led to a unique articulation of the conscious, loving, abundant nature of the universe. So their book, which I mentioned, The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm, you're going to hear more about tonight. And they've applied the trust frequency to an online course, The Dance of the Souls, The Relationship Our Revolution, available on Humanity Stream and Think Life. And they have a 50 years project, first 50 years project that there's information here tonight about, and you can find that online too. So without further ado, I invite Connie and Andrew to give us an introduction to a deep dive into the ebook, The Conscious Loving Universe, a guidebook.
So Rita, your background as a nurse and in energy management, that as well, I suppose.
Yes.
And indigenous cultures has really brought you to this place of wanting to bring your gifts to the trust frequency construct on the nature of the universe, the conscious, loving, abundant nature of the universe. So this has driven you to create forums for us to share who we are and what we know and what this trust frequency paradigm is all about. And now she wants to take it a step further into the deep dive into the conscious loving universe through the guidebook and bring her gifts to this process. It's very exciting for us in this time of co-creation that you have taken this initiative to start this course and bring your insights to it and bring us to it at the end. But I want to learn from you what you see and what you know from your experience. So we're going to be flies on the wall for your course somehow. So,
Connie, thank you. Tonight, folks, is an introduction. Then there will be 5 follow-up sessions where we'll go through the assumptions in this book, 2 assumptions a week, and then there will be a final Zoom meetup for everybody, and Connie and Andrew will come in and do a wrap-up and answer any questions folks might have. I feel that this book, this paradigm shift that the trust frequency has, is necessary now. And it's time for people to realize that we do live in a conscious, loving universe. And if we walk in the world in that way, it will show up for us. So now's the time. So thank you for being here tonight and doing this introduction. And we'll launch as soon as we have 8 to 12 people who want to do the course. So
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, well, 8 to 12 people, come and get it.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
And to you.
Okay, thanks much.
All right, firstly, it's good to be back in Carbondale. I like this town, I like this room. We've presented a number of times right here in the past, and it's good to be back.
Yeah, it sure is. And welcome, everybody. We're just so glad you could be here. And what we're going to do to start out, because this is challenging material, this is a paradigm shift. This is a construct on the nature of the universe through indigenous cosmology and quantum science. And it's a big leap out of the old paradigm into the new paradigm, so our minds and our hearts can come into coherence and we can act from our hearts without our minds getting in the way, saying, no, you can't do that. Our minds saying, oh yeah, you can do that. Your heart's saying it, you trust yourself, you trust your heart, you trust the circumstances of the universe, what it shows you, and you take bold, committed action. And so Rita's course is going to take people through her process of neuro pathway adjustment. You know, it's a big deal, changing your worldview. So we're going to present this tonight in a cursory fashion to some degree, because this is just an introduction, and then the course will go deeper. And we also have the full-on book, The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm, which one can get from Rita or online, and that will gives a broader perspective as well. But Rita's going to be bringing a different perspective than from what Andrew and I have brought. So she's excited about this, and so are we, because she's catalyzed us through the years to bring this forth, because she so believes in it and sees it from her background with energy medicine and indigenous cultures, etc., and nursing. So we'll carry on, and what we're going to do is put you in a sacred space for this process of opening your hearts and your minds. So if you would just sit comfortably and take 3 deep breaths. And get into a receptive state and focus on your inner knowing, wherever that manifests for you, in your heart, in your body, in your right brain, in your left brain. Allow the ideas we will be presenting to flow through that space without judgment. Accept them as absolutely true. Let any resistance melt into the now space, and just be with the ideas that create the container for our time together tonight. We will first offer some definitions of the words we will be using, and then 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. We ask you to take time to assimilate these words, ideas and phrases and assumptions. This construct on the conscious, loving, abundant nature of the universe that loves us more than we can fathom in the current paradigm. So now we'll begin.
I just wanted to say, excuse me, I just wanted to say something about the book, The Trust Frequency. I'd just like you to hear those words, the trust frequency, the vibratory state that we are in when we're in a state of total trust, and the tagline or the subtitle, which is 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. So paradigm's a word we've all heard of, we're about, and there's these terms that we use, so that's what Connie was talking about, the definitions. The 10 assumptions. I think the most important takeaway here is how important assumptions are. People say, oh, don't make assumptions. You're not supposed to assume anything. Not necessarily so, because we all make assumptions. Our worldview is based on assumptions. A paradigm is simply a set of assumptions. It's the way we see the world. And one of the biggest challenges is that we have been sort of programmed as kids, as children, as students. We've been raised in a culture with these deep, generations deep ideas and concepts and beliefs, and many of those are, in fact, erroneous. I hate to use that word, but it's true. Many of the things we've been taught are not necessarily true. So we're offering some alternatives here, 10 alternative assumptions. I just wanted to preface.
Yeah, and this is the book, the cover of the book that Andrew designed. And so you'll recognize that as a pretty identifiable.
And the other little tagline here is the highroad to happiness. I believe that a lot of human unhappiness is a result of the erroneous assumptions that we carry. Things like, I'm not good enough, fear-based, insecurity-based assumptions. There's not enough to go around, the belief in scarcity, those kinds of things. Human unhappiness comes from our worldview, a belief system. And if we change that, watch what happens. What is it we say? Change your assumptions and the world changes with you.
Because you change vibration, you change frequency, and the laws in the different frequencies are different. So we'll go into that. And here we have a new equation, which is QR plus IC equals CLU. Quantum reality plus indigenous cosmology equals the conscious loving universe.
That's Connie's brand new equation. And the other one you just saw a little while ago on the cover of the book, Kokopelli equals MC squared. We were looking for something that would represent the wisdom of the indigenous peoples of the world. And we came up with that very familiar symbol in the American Southwest, and someone in Australia or Germany or so on would probably need some explaining. But that equation, Kokopelli equals MC squared, really to me means the wisdom of the earth people, the indigenous people, is in a perfect balance with MC squared, which is representative of Western science, what Einstein and Newton and so on brought to us. So the understandings of the ancient peoples and the not so ancient peoples. And together, there's wisdom emerging right now in our lifetime that has never been on this planet before.
Right, and our work is a construct that is a synthesis of the two, indigenous cosmology and quantum science. It's neither, it's both. It's something new that we've seen through our experience with indigenous peoples and the quantum science and the new physics that's coming out that's even going to the next level beyond quantum science. So here's the new equation. And we're going to do some definitions and assumptions, which we're asking you to take as absolutely true for this exercise. So it's up to you to determine after we present this if it resonates for you or not, and what you want to choose to take in as your worldview, because it's all free will. We have the right and the ability to choose our paradigm, our assumptions. So here are the definitions. Do you want to start?
Sure. So I think we all know what an assumption is.
Oh, one thing I forgot. We're going to ask you to write down we have given you paper and pencil, and we're going to ask you to write down the first word that comes to mind in your heart, in your mind, in your body, as to how this assumption, the definition, how it feels. So if you feel like doing that, do that, because we'd like to have it be interactive so that you feel a part of this process. We're not just up here lecturing to you.
So we'll have some back and forth interaction.
You welcome that?
Yes, but
Yeah.
there'll be a time for that, so we'll let you know. Okay, thank you. So, an assumption is a fundamental belief which we take to be true without question. Okay? A paradigm is a set of agreed upon assumptions which together create a consensus reality. So our society exists, and there are different societies, and each of the different ethnic groups and religious groups and so on actually live according to slightly different paradigms, slightly different belief systems.
And here we have circumstance, the seemingly uncontrollable outward events that influence our decisions. Okay, you see that seemingly uncontrollable outward events, because circumstance plays a huge role in our lives, and it's our understanding that circumstance loves us, and we'll go into that further as we get into the assumptions.
Humanity, now if you go look up humanity in the dictionary, you will not see this, and that's the reason we're going through this terminology. We use well understood words in a completely different way many times. Okay? Humanity, a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who have chosen to incarnate on earth to learn and grow on their soul's journey to wholeness, which is self-love, self-acceptance, each with an individual purpose and a unique gift.
So this is huge. This is foundational to our course, the Dance of Souls. It's foundational to the whole construct that we're bringing forth here.
And remember that we said, take these statements, just take them as true, just try it. You may object, you may go, no, this is ridiculous. I don't believe we're divine or autonomous or any of these things. But check it out. Humans who live according to this are happier, more effective.
Indeed. And who have chosen, because we have, in this construct, we have given an overarching act of free will when we incarnated. And we said to the conscious loving universe, you have permission to take me on my journey to wholeness, to self-love and self-acceptance and alignment with my divinity and my purpose. So this is very big. And frequency, the vibratory state that determines the characteristic of a particular reality. There is a wide range of frequencies, each with its own reality and its own distinct laws.
That's a big one to bite off, but just ponder that.
And free will, the inalienable right and ability to choose one's frequency and to co-create one's reality.
Meaning we have a lot more personal power, agency, than we may ever have imagined. Consciousness. This is something that scientists have struggled with. The religions haven't been able to explain it. So we have set out to do the best we can to come to we all know the word consciousness, but what do we mean by that word? What does it mean? So we realized that there are two kinds of consciousness that we experience every breath of our lives. Universal consciousness, the omnipresent life energy of the universe. That is, we live within that at all times. There's nowhere else to be. We can only be within the omnipresent life energy of the universe. And human consciousness, my consciousness, your consciousness, yours, and yours. The active, there's two kinds, active and passive. The active and passive phenomena of awareness, assumption, attitude, attention, alignment, action, and allowing. And notice something? They all begin with the letter A. So we call them the 7 A's. And these taken together determine our frequency. What? Determine the actual vibratory rate that we are manifesting, living within and putting out to the world. Love.
And
We all
here's
know what
love.
love is, right? Go to the dictionary and tell me if you find this. The fundamental, creative, and unifying power of the universe. Love is a quantum energy. It's a scientific phenomenon, actually understood well under different names by physics. We'll explain more on this subject.
The universe, all that is, both manifest and unmanifest, also called God, Creator, Jehovah, Atman, Allah, the Force, the unified field, the great mystery, the quantum vacuum, and many other names.
I love that physics' word for God is the quantum vacuum. I love that.
Quantum vacuum.
What a take on, all of these mystical beings that have been imagined or described by humans forever. And now current science is calling the same thing, the quantum vacuum, that within which we all coexist.
And change your
earlier,
assumptions and the
change.
world changes with you.
Yep.
And
She-
life
she
becomes
knows,
a
she
glorious field of sunflowers because we're in a higher frequency. Depending on where you change your assumptions to, I mean, you can go into a lower frequency or you can go into a higher frequency. It's up to us, the vibratory level of our 7 A's of consciousness. And we'll go into this further. So here we have the first assumption.
So we'll go through the 10 assumptions. So we just got through what we call the definitions. We've defined our terms. So now when we use a certain word, such as humanity or love, you have some idea of what we mean by that term, which is, as you can see, different from the consensus understanding of that term. Important to define your terms before we proceed.
Well, let's just have Pamela give us some of your thoughts. Would you like to share a few of your thoughts, just briefly, or your feelings about the definitions?
I really like the definitions, and so far everything you've said, I believe to be true.
Oh, great.
Because, I've thought about all this, and I'm working on all this.
Right, it's a process.
I've got a lot of lessons in trust here, and I'm working on every aspect of what you're presenting here, and it's really interesting to see these new definitions described in this way. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Sweet.
All right, thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you for that.
So we'll move to the first assumption.
And you will notice that these are, what we set out to do is we just chose the number 10, like the 10 commandments, 10 assumptions. What are the 10 most fundamental assumptions that humanity, our society, the group we interact with, what are the most fundamental assumptions that we make? Because we all make assumptions. And as we said, taken together, a collection of assumptions create a paradigm. So we're offering a new paradigm. So what's the first assumption? We live in a conscious, loving universe. Now I'm a science guy. I went through high school learning chemistry and physics and mathematics, and university doing the same thing to a reasonable level. And it was never occurred to anyone that we lived in a conscious, loving universe. What I was taught was we lived in a universe that was somewhat analogous to like a giant clockwork, a giant machine with all these moving parts. It was not conscious. If it wasn't conscious, how could it be loving? So, different, huh? Radically different take on the most important thing. Where are we? We're in a universe. What does that mean? What kind of universe?
Well, we're saying there is only love. that has huge ramifications. Okay, when we're saying take this as absolutely true, there is only love. And that sets up a paradox. And we resolve that paradox with our next assumption. But first we wanted to go through this little slide here that says the current assumption, the universe is a mechanical, lifeless machine that Andrew was referring to, that he learned in science in school. It is utterly unaware of our existence. It contains life, on this planet at least, but the universe is not, in and of itself, alive. It is not conscious, and it certainly doesn't love us.
Current assumption. Now, if you live in that kind of universe, how does that feel compared with living in a conscious, loving universe? My best metaphor is living in the womb of your mother. We've all been there and done that, where we are completely supported, nurtured, loved, and brought forth, right?
And this quote here,
These little squares, by the way, are pull quotes, it's called, where we pulled something out of the main book, of the big trust frequency book. So they're a little random, but each of them will just give you a flavor of the book and of this course that is the beginning of here.
love is the primordial energy that creates and sustains the entire physical and non-physical universe. It is therefore related to the Higgs boson, aka the God particle, and the gluon, described by contemporary quantum physics. The Higgs boson brings matter into existence, and the gluon is the subatomic particle, subatomic power that holds everything together. Sounds a lot like love to us.
So you see, we get pretty deep in the science realm, because we could spend a whole day talking about what Connie just read. We could devote a day-long workshop to just that. However, we move on, so we're just tossing out little flavor bites here.
Okay, and here we have Jude Currivan, a cosmologist, Dr. Jude Currivan. Oops,
That's
I
not
did.
Jude. There she is.
There she is.
If you
She's
don't
a
know Jude
cosmologist.
Currivan, she's a phenomenon. She's an English scientist, cosmologist. What would you say about her, Connie?
Yeah, she's at the forefront of this conscious, loving universe movement in physics. So I just wanted to have you listen to Jude, just to know that the scientists are on board with this to some degree. It's a huge leap, but it is edging its way into the conversation, the loving aspect of the universe.
This is why I feel this is such an incredibly important time, because this convergence of science and spirituality actually includes and transcends both. So this is a cosmology of consciousness. This is literally a science of love. This is holding us in a unifying framework where everything in existence matters, where everything in existence has meaning and purpose, and we are the agents. We are the heads and hearts and hands of its evolutionary impulse.
So, there you have Dr. Jude Currivan.
Who we
The
would
Science
highly
of Love.
recommend. She has books. The Cosmic Hologram was the first one I read. I think it was her first major book, and she's just released a new one. What's the title, Rita? Do you remember?
Story of Gaia.
The Story of Gaia. So she's quite the profound thinker, and she explains these very complex issues in an easily understood way for the layperson.
So here we have another equation. Creator God is love, plus Creator God is everything. So what is the outcome of the plus and plus? It equals everything is love. So there we have it.
That
Proving it.
well-known expression, God is love, right? So if God is love and God is everything, then that means that everything is love, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does to me. See,
Can't argue with that.
You okay with that?
You can't argue with that.
No, right, exactly. So here we have a meme. We have several memes, just graphics. Love is the primordial energy that creates and sustains the entire physical and non-physical universe.
So you'll notice repetition because we're driving some points home and we're expressing it in different ways. But if there can be some takeaways that really implant these, from my perspective, these facts, these true aspects of the nature of reality, and we go home with that, and instead of feeling alone or in despair or all those human emotions, this really helps on the happiness level.
So here's the second assumption, and this resolves the paradox that the first assumption brings forth. Okay? Because how can we resolve the paradox of war, famine, abuse, all those things that we see as not love? Well, here it is.
The universe loves us unconditionally. It gives us everything we ask for.
Okay? See, we don't understand the nature of that love, that it's unconditional. It gives us everything we ask for. The question is, what are our requests? So first of all, we will read the current assumption. The universe is an enormous, lifeless machine. It does not know we exist. It would be absurd to say it loves us. And here's the pull quote. The greatest difference between the love of the universe and the kind of love we humans are accustomed to is this. The love of the universe is unconditional. It is critical to understand this. Okay? So what are our requests to the conscious, loving universe? What are our requests? Here we go. To our third assumption.
We create reality by the power of our consciousness. We actually really do. We have a co-creative relationship with everything that unfolds in our lives. And it's our consciousness through which we create this reality.
And if you remember our definitions, we define human consciousness, which we'll go into in the fourth assumption. And here we have the current assumption of the third assumption, which is our consciousness has nothing to do with reality. Reality is something external, something that happens to us. It was fixed in place long ago by forces beyond our control.
So what a helpless statement about our situation, right?
Yeah. So here's the quote. Can you read that, or do you want me to?
I could put my glasses on.
Okay, I'll do it.
Let's try it.
Okay,
I mean,
go for it.
just to keep the balance here.
Okay, we'll keep the balance. That's important. The balance.
There we are. The boundless diversity of existence is the ever-evolving consciousness of unconditional love coming to understand and experience itself and its unlimited potential for creative expression. This consciousness explores its expressive capability by creating powerful visionary creatures such as ourselves, each with a gift and a purpose on our soul's journey to wholeness.
Yeah, so this is a big concept. And Andrew calls us humans roving sensory organs of the divine.
You like that? What is a human being? A roving sensory organ of the divine, because as we'll be showing, we are all profoundly interconnected. And each of us is deeply connected back to Source. And Source is experiencing itself through us, through each and every sentient being in the entire universe.
So we're not only connected to Source, we are Source. So here we go to the fourth assumption, which is our
really,
7 A's.
Which is not really an assumption.
Okay.
It's more
But these are our requests to the conscious, loving universe. Our awareness, our assumptions, our attitude, our attention, our alignment, action, and allowing, which determine our frequency, our vibratory level. And the current assumption is,
Well, what do these things have to do with my life? I do not make assumptions. As the wise man said, assumptions make an ass out of you and me. Remember that one? Ass, you, me. Oh. So that's, a lot of people feel that way. We don't make assumptions. But as I said earlier, we all make assumptions. I wouldn't be sitting on this chair if I didn't assume it was strong enough to hold my weight. We all make fundamental assumptions.
do you want to read the full quote?
Okay? Our awareness, assumptions and attitudes, the choices as to where we place our attention, the degree of alignment with our inner guidance, and the committed actions we take, along with the degree of our trust in the loving universe, determine the frequency we inhabit, which in turn determines every aspect of the reality we experience.
So we've put these 7 A's into one sentence, which becomes a real toolkit for checking our 7 A's during the day, anywhere, anytime, once we get this sentence in our minds. So here it is, the 7 A's of consciousness. And the modifying word is key. So here we go. With expanded awareness and accurate assumptions, we choose our attitude, consciously direct our attention, align with our highest inner promptings, take committed action, and allow the loving universe to manifest beyond our wildest dreams. So here you have it.
So I don't know what you think, but I think it's a pretty cool reality we're offering
That's
here.
beautiful.
It's a little different from every day out there in the year 2023, isn't it?
It's
It's
beautiful.
When we pay attention, and with these modifiers, we've shifted frequencies, we've shifted realities. The laws are expanded in the higher frequencies. It's a different set of laws, it's a different reality. And this is expressed very well in a quote by Goethe. Well, it's not.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually Goethe didn't write this. It's attributed to Goethe.
Interestingly, this is actually a Scottish mountaineer who took, I think, part of an idea from Goethe.
It's been proven that none of this is actually from Goethe.
So,
A Scottish mountaineer, W.H. Murray, wrote this.
I did hear that, yeah.
and he
Okay.
was preparing for an ascent of Everest, putting a team together.
It's beautiful. I love
So, would you like to read it?
Okay. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth that ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too.
And guess what? Providence hasn't moved. We've moved ourselves into another frequency.
All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. Probably no woman either. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Bold, committed action is the key to accessing the frequency. We think it, we do it, but we've got to do it, to put our bodies into that frequency, into that flow. So it's tough stuff, because we actually have to act from that place. So here is Henry David Thoreau's perspective on the subject. I learned this, at least by my experiment. This is the conclusion to Walden. That if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, and we think it's beyond our ability to imagine, ultimately, because of the box we're in and the expectations we have, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. So you heard the Goethe quote, saying unexpected things that no man could have dreamt would have come his way. It's very exciting. So he will put some things behind, will pass an invisible boundary. New, universal, and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves around and within him. This is where we got, the laws will be expanded. Hold on, here it goes. Or the old laws will be expanded and interpreted in his favor in a more liberal sense, and he will live with the license of a higher order of beings. Okay? And look at this guy. He's living with the license of a higher order of beings.
He's trusting you. Yeah.
So, there we have it. These two quotes bookend our book, because when I saw this from Henry, and we speak at the Thoreau Society often, many years we've spoken at the Thoreau Society, bringing the mystical Thoreau to the table. He's a very important thinker, Henry David Thoreau. But this, with the laws will be expanded, or new laws will be made in his favor. And the science is now proving this. Nassim Haramein has said, and I have a quote from Nassim, it's not in here, that when we attune our antenna to a higher frequency, there's more information available. That's what's happening right now. The earth has transitioned into a higher frequency. We're getting more information about our ability to heal, about science, about our connection to the universe. We're discovering things that the native people have known forever. Now the science is actually proving it, so that those of us stuck in our heads can say, okay, science says it's true, so I can believe it. I can put my life on it. Okay? This is a big deal. Okay, so here we have the fifth assumption. And that assumption is?
Free will is an absolute law of the universe. That's a little revolutionary, because what's the current assumption?
The current assumption is we have very little control over the circumstances that determine our lives. Our conscious choices make little difference to the reality we experience.
That's kind of a depressing reality that perhaps a lot of people, that's the way they see the world.
We're trained to it. We're trained to it.
Yeah. So, and then the pull quote is, each and every aspect of our lives is the direct result of the countless free will personal choices we have made. Even the most conformist of us has made a conscious choice to conform. At every step, we were presented with a choice. We made a decision, for better or worse, based on our fundamental assumptions about the nature of existence and what we thought would be best for us and for those we cared about.
So you see, there's no blame, there's no shame. This is just, we were handed a set of beliefs by our parents and by our communities and our societies. And these are the inevitable results of that. And the conflicted world we see out there is the inevitable result of that, going back generations. So
millennia.
It's going to take some uprooting.
Because the earth was in a lower frequency, so we were all responding to that lower frequency of fear, separation, scarcity. All four races of man, all our human history has been a pretty nasty one in many ways. We've been brilliant and we've been very mean to each other. And that's the result of responding to this lower frequency that the earth is moving out of now. So these are collapsing now. And new systems are coming forth, and it's up to each of us to make those choices, to bring those systems and those behaviors to the table. And that's why Rita is so excited about this construct and about taking people into a deep dive to really anchor it in to their hearts and into their minds through some processes that she is going to bring to this 6-week course. So it's all very exciting because it's really come now to this time where we get to open our hearts and walk in total trust of a conscious, loving universe with our free will. See, we have to bring it to pass with our free will. That's the whole exercise for all of creation. We're actually transmuting the energies of fear, separation, and scarcity, and we have to do it through free will, bring it into the physical. And we're going to change all of creation as we do that. So, here's a little meme.
Yeah, see what you think of this. We are absolutely free to make of our lives what we will, with the unconditional, non-judgmental, loving support of the all-powerful invisible forces of the universe. So we have free will. We can make a complete mess of our lives if we so choose. Or we can manifest the magnificence of our beings. It's up to us.
Yep. So here's the 6th assumption. Andrew, do you want to do this?
So I think this is radical. This is one of Connie's ideas, and when I first heard it from her. Circumstance guides us on our journey to wholeness. That, I think we all know that term. I'm a victim of circumstance. We are showing that we're not victims of circumstance, that circumstance, in fact, guides us with a loving hand. We're actually beneficiaries of circumstance. That's the flip from victim to beloved. Wow, is that a big deal?
Right, and when we take into account the definition of humanity, that we chose to incarnate on earth with a gift and a purpose on our soul's journey to wholeness, that overarching act of free will. And circumstance is the loving universe taking us on that journey to show us the parts of ourselves we don't love yet. That's in our subconscious that we've covered with a mask. We've said, okay, world, here I am, I'm happy, I'm great, I'm smart, I did well in school, but underneath I feel less than. I'm not okay. So the universe is going to come and show us that light, how bright and beautiful we are, but also that piece of us we don't love yet. And that's not going to be fun, because it's got to come out and be seen and be released into the light so that we align with our divinity and our gift and bring all of us to the party of life. That's what we promise to bring to all of creation, is us. That's our Dance of Souls course, by the way. So here we have the 6th assumption.
You want to read the current assumption there?
Yeah, the current assumption.
The 6th assumption that we're presenting is circumstance guides us on our journey to wholeness. What do most people believe?
We are victims of circumstance, also known as fate. Circumstance is random. Fate is blind, and there is nothing we can do about it. That's huge.
Isn't that wonderful? We're so
And it's so huge in our belief system.
The fact is, the loving universe is never wrong. There are no mistakes. Once we understand the central role of circumstance in our lives and pay attention to its unerring guidance, we will never again think of ourselves as victims of circumstance.
Exactly. So, we move on to the 7th assumption. There is only now, this precious present moment. And I have to tell you, this is the gateway to the trust frequency. And fortunately, we're losing our memory. This has been going on for a long time. If we can't remember what we're supposed to do tomorrow, and we can't remember what we did yesterday, where are we?
Now.
Yeah,
We're in the now.
moment.
And that now is the gateway to that frequency of trust, of higher ways of being.
You remember that beautiful book by Ram Dass, Be Here Now.
Yeah.
By being present in this moment, because most of us spend our time either thinking about the future, worrying about the future, which may or may not ever happen in that way, or regretting or remembering something or missing someone or something like that from the past. So much so that we never notice that there's actually a present moment, that I am actually taking a breath right now. And we take, how many breaths do we take unconsciously and don't even notice?
Seriously. And so we made this pull quote into a meme. So here it is.
So this is just a little suggestion. If we'd all just try this right now. Slow down. Stop everything. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply, gently, and contemplate nothing but the now. Feel the air. Listen to the wind.
That's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And then we move to the 8th assumption.
All of creation is one. Separation is a man-made illusion.
So it was in the lower frequencies. It's like nobody has forced us into thinking we're separate. I mean, it sure feels like he's there and you're there and you're there and you're there. Okay, so it's just the belief that we aren't part of the cosmos. That it's the lack of understanding that we are the universe, this is an evolutionary process. So there's no shame, no blame, nobody forcing us, nobody anything. Everybody's done their best in a lower frequency. So now the frequency is shifting, and so we can move forward without demonizing anybody. Because we just give people power. We give energies power when we demonize and we put energy towards it. Just let it go and know that we are one. And this is becoming very big in the current science, very big. And a movement towards a unitive narrative, to knowing that we are one. And that veil is thinning. That veil is thinning, and very soon we're going to get it. And from my point of view, we're going to just get it.
There's something you may be hearing of. It's called the hollow movement, which means the movement toward oneness. It's actually a movement as a group of people trying to figure out how we can accept and expand that idea and what that might mean to us.
Make it go viral, and it's going viral because it is who we are. It's just in alignment with who we are. It's taking that veil, lifting that veil. It's not forcing anything on anyone. It's just reinforcing what our hearts know and what our minds are coming to know with this new science. So, the current assumption is we are inevitably and permanently separate and disconnected from one another. We are all alone in a disconnected universe.
No wonder people feel down. I mean, is this true? Is this real? Do people really have these beliefs? I think they do.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
I know I have at times.
Sure.
Why are kids committing suicide? You know, on and on. People just don't see. Humans seem to be kind of not only helpless but hopeless. And we don't want to offer false hopes. And yet, I think there's another way here, and it's to do with consciousness. And how do we change our consciousness? How do we change our belief systems? Well, look for alternatives, and here are some suggestions.
Yeah.
Okay?
So do you want to read that?
I will. I'll read it from here. The Eastern mystics and the indigenous people based their worldview on unitive principles. It wasn't until Newton, Descartes, and Darwin that we Westerners fully separated, although we had many centuries previously bought into the idea of a separate God. Ooh, a separate God. What an odd thing. How can that be? Then, during the Age of Reason, we took the radical dualist fork leading to the current paradigm, disconnected from the rest of creation.
From our hearts and the rest of creation. But that is over. And the new science, unified physics, is replacing that scientific paradigm. And the heart is bringing forth the sacredness and the knowing and the love that all of creation is awaiting, the love in the human heart, the opening of the human heart, and for us to transmute all those energies and act from those places of compassion, kindness, empathy that you're hearing now on everyone's lips. But first we must come to grips with the conscious, loving, abundant nature of the universe. This shift into knowing it's all love, resolving that paradox, because otherwise we're still in victim-perpetrator energy, victim-perpetrator vibratory level. So we're not going to get there until we truly get that it's all love.
For me, separation is one of the biggest issues. Our belief somehow that we've taken on, that we are separate from love, separate from each other, separate from God, separate from the universe, separate from nature. Wow, no wonder we're in trouble.
Alone, yeah.
Alone. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's the
Yeah.
personal feelings of loneliness, of being alone, of
Yeah.
desperation. And then there's just what we've done to the rest of creation with that disconnect.
Yeah.
And not working together and co-creatively and symbiotically together. So here we have the 9th assumption. Humanity is on an evolutionary upward spiral to peace on earth and heaven on earth.
Take in a beautiful deep breath and just come up into our upper chakras and just feel that one. Humanity is on an evolutionary upward spiral. It's in our DNA. There's no stopping it. We can't help ourselves any more than the caterpillar can help itself when it's becoming a butterfly, no matter what it feels like in the moment.
But we do have free will choice. And so that's this process of healing, of choosing behaviors that are getting fleshed out because the energy on the planet doesn't support them anymore. So that's what we're in the thick of right now. And the current assumption is humanity is going nowhere. In fact, we're going to hell in a handbasket.
And the great wise man, what's his name, the Reverend Michael Beckwith once used that metaphor. And he said, does anybody know what a handbasket is?
I know, where does that come from?
If we're going to hell in a handbasket, we might as well know what the handbasket looks like so we can get in.
So the pull quote is, we have a choice to make. Do we trust what we have learned so far in this book? And if so, are we ready to participate in our own evolution? In the process the futurist Barbara Marx Hubbard calls conscious evolution? The fact of the matter is this: Homo sapiens is at the dawn of a great evolutionary leap, a great awakening, leading inexorably to a higher, more conscious reality.
And I feel such a sense of relief just hearing Connie say that again. I want to hear that over and over and over again.
Yeah. So here we are with this meme.
We live on an ascending earth, a living, evolving Gaia, which is moving upward on the scale of vibratory frequency. Soon, fear-based, low-vibration behavior will become impossible.
Because there won't be any energy to support it. And there is some thought that the earth will split into 2 earths. And the lower frequency, people who choose not to raise their vibration will get to stay on this earth and do whatever they choose to do in the low vibration. And those who choose the higher vibration will be on another earth, the new earth. And it'll be a whole new reality. I have some sense of what that reality is. I see big pictures. I see the coming of peace on earth and heaven on earth. And for me, everything serves the coming of peace on earth. And the whole reality shifts to such a degree that we can't fathom it. Jesus actually showed us some of the aspects of it with his miracles, what we call miracles, with healing and with the loaves and the fishes, the abundance of the universe. I'll tell you something. This new earth is going to be a place that we can't fathom right now. But if we choose it, we're going to be there. So we say there's a party going on. We're all invited. We'll see you there in the trust frequency. So,
I would suggest that we can collectively together co-create that new earth by taking on a higher worldview, an optimistic, love-based, trust-based reality, and just letting the rest go, just dropping all the
well,
fear.
it'll be impossible.
Well,
Just what that
yeah.
whole quote said. It will be impossible because it's all vibration.
What will be impossible?
Behaviors, lower frequency
I see.
behaviors. You know, the hate, the greed, all that stuff that we're so used to and think is human nature. It's not human nature. And so if you don't choose to vibrate at the level this new earth's going to be at, you can't be there. I'm sorry. You just can't be there. It's not God judging you at the pearly gates. It's you self-choosing your vibration. It's just that simple. It's all physics. So there's no judgment. There's nobody calling the shots. It's us calling our own shots as far as our vibratory level. So,
And it's letting go of fear and taking on trust, no matter what it looks like. No matter how scary it may appear to be, just trusting the process.
with
Because-
bold, committed action.
Yep, just
Trusting
like
the
that.
process with bold, committed action. Here's the 10th assumption.
And this, for those doubters in the room and out there, the trust frequency is real. It's available to anyone, anywhere, anytime. It's our choice.
And here's the pull quote. Once we understand the astonishing beauty of the conscious, loving universe and our important place in it, we can attune ourselves to any frequency we choose. Once we fully understand and trust the fact that this higher reality is not only possible, but is the natural order of things, we transition into an enduring state of gratitude, love and trust, ease and grace, which are our primary vehicles to heaven on earth. So that's the 10th assumption. And then, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, so folks, that's our reality, and it makes a big difference to me personally. I know what it's done for me. I know what it does for Connie. Just coming from a place of trust and gratitude. It just becomes ease and grace. Wow, how different is that? You know, I used to think life was a struggle. Now it's like heaven on earth, she just said.
So here is a graphic of the old paradigm, the lower frequency of separation, of not love, of that it's a mechanistic universe, that it's time-based, that we're leading to destruction, that there's determinism and fate and all that. Those assumptions take our vibratory level down, and the behaviors of we're conflicted, we're victims, we're powerless, we have anxiety, we have fear, we have helplessness. Does that describe any reality anybody knows in these times and in the times in the past? Well, this new paradigm and higher frequency where the assumptions are that it's conscious, that it's all love, that there's free will, that it's timeless, that it's on an upward spiral, that there's oneness, leads to a behavior of meaning, that everything's okay, that everything has a meaning, that we're powerful, we can trust. There's infinite balance and cooperation. So, see, this just gives a graphic for this frequency idea. And the big question is...
Are you ready? Because this is a leap. It's a leap of faith, it's a leap of trust. It's trusting your own heart, your own feelings.
And trusting a conscious, loving universe. It's moving beyond duality, beyond right and wrong, good and evil, Victim perpetrator? OMG, that's huge.
What was the last one?
Victim perpetrator. Good, evil, right, wrong, victim perpetrator.
You know, these black and whites that we are so
Oh, yeah.
attached to.
And here's Rumi. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. So thank God for Rumi, because we refer to this because we're bringing in a concept that is just little old me and little old Andrew that are bringing in this huge shift. And fortunately, Rumi, who everyone admires and respects, has made this statement.
Back in the 13th century.
So,
and man, it stands
thank
up
you,
as-
Rumi. Thank you, Rumi. And thank you, Rita, for trusting and knowing this reality and bringing it forth in this course that you're going to do, and supporting our work with the Trust Frequency book and all our work. So let's see. Okay, here's the butterfly.
Like me to read that?
Sure.
So you've probably all heard this new term, woke. This is about woke. Those of us who are awake, the ones who woke up, are now taking personal responsibility for ourselves, for our own lives, for our own view of the world, and our impact on the reality we experience.
It's huge because we are creating this reality, everything that's going on, and the universe is responding and showing us that it's out of balance. It's not in alignment with universal law. It's over, and it's time now to align with the heart, align with nature, align with universal law, and walk in balance and beauty and abundance on earth. So, there's one last meme.
It's an infinitely more beautiful universe than we ever suspected. Since we create our own reality, why not choose a life of grace and ease, abundance, beauty, and balance?
I'm so simple. I've been telling myself that.
And
Trust
the loving universe.
To me, that's my mantra, just those 4 words, trust the loving universe. There was a time, not so long ago, where I would wake up in the night and I'd be anxious about something, financial, whatever it might be. And I would just remind myself, just trust the loving universe. And it'll all work out. And it all worked out. All those things that I was mulling over in the middle of the night just dissolved. They weren't real. I wasn't in the now. I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't remembering who I am in the context of the conscious, loving universe. And I got over it.
And here's our contact information, the trustfrequency.net, our Dance of Souls course, our ebook, which is available online for free at the trustfrequency.net CLU ebook. You can find it there in the choices, and there's our book, which you can get from us or from Amazon. So,
Or
and then,
from Explore Books.
or Explore Books. Explore has one left, or from
Or from the
Rita.
Center for Human Flourishing.
From the
Now from the Center for Human Flourishing.
or
We've
actually-
donated some books to Rita in
Yeah.
support of the Center for Human
And
Flourishing.
actually all over the place. I'm amazed at where people have found our books, you know, in New York and all over.
Yeah, and people we've given books to 10 years ago, because it came out December 21st, 2012. And we've given away a lot of books, and people have found it now. It's bubbled up, and it's changing people's lives because it's time now. We've been waiting for this time. And it's almost ready to go to that next level, beyond duality, right, wrong, good, evil, victim, perpetrator. It's huge. So we wish you all the best of luck. Rita's going to take you through some fun processes, some deep work, and we'll see you at the end and with a Zoom call, and we'll all come together and we'll learn from you what you learned from Rita, what you learned from this guidebook and our book, you can bring to us what you have learned and you can teach us. And that's what Wallace Blackout said to me in the 90s, the great Lakota elder who was a very good friend. He said, Connie, you read between the lines and you teach me. Okay? It's an evolutionary process. Nobody's carrying everything, all of it. And this man was a walking phenomenon. He spent a lot of time here in the Roaring Fork Valley as my guest to bring forth what he saw, what he knew as a deep shamanic elder and visionary elder who saw the oneness of all races and walked in that higher frequency. So then we have one last slide, which is Andrew's work with Sacred Earth Enterprises. Rita's looking forward to integrating the trust frequency with climate restoration. And Andrew, I don't know if you want to
That may
speak.
seem like a bit of a jump and a leap, and it is, but Rita had the idea that we should at least mention this, so here it is. I mentioned at the very beginning this evening that I'm a science guy. I had serious training in chemistry and physics and mathematics and so on, and chemical engineering. And we live on a challenged planet. One of the issues on this planet is, just as most of you, I'm certain all of you know now, that climate change is real, that we're seeing serious damage occurring, we're seeing extreme weather and all the things that we already know about. And a part of the reason for that is there's too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that since the Industrial Revolution, we humans have started burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas, polluting our atmosphere and preventing the heat that would normally evaporate back into space, the solar radiation that comes in and would normally just go right back into space. And we're putting a blanket around the Earth and preventing that from happening, causing the planet to warm up, causing the polar ice caps to melt, on and on and on. Some of you may not know much about this, some of you may know an awful lot about it, different subject, but I learned what the situation was, and I used to actually be a chemical engineer working in a Unilever factory in South Africa, okay, as a chemist. And I put that hat back on and said, oh, okay, too much CO2 in the atmosphere, that's relatively simple. It's huge, but it's simple. The simplicity of the chemistry and what you need to do it. You just need to do it on a very large scale. So this is a system. As you can see, it has a vertical farm. It has, this particular one has livestock. This is an energy tower that I call the Bailey Synergy Tower. That's my name, Bailey. I put my name on it. My name is for sale. You want your name on it? $1 billion, and it's yours. Okay? Because we need that kind of money to make the kind of change we need so that my grandchildren and yours will have a beautiful planet to manifest living in the trust frequency.
Beautiful.
Something like that.
Beautiful. And here's how to sign up for the 6-week deep dive. Contact Rita Marsh at info@TCFHF, the Center for Human Flourishing.org.
There you go. Good.
And if you have questions, call 970-618-2096, and Rita will answer any questions. And you can go to the website. Is the information on the website?
It will be.
It will be. So what's the website?
TCFHF.org.
Ooh,
So there it is, TCFHF.org. Go to the website and soon there will be information about the 6-week course. But we look forward to what will come out of it when 6 to 8 to 10 people come together with Rita and bring their gifts to this process. So we hope that it will be some of you and that this has enticed you to step up and sign up for this course. Because Rita's looking forward to creating a community of people who trust the loving universe and work together with some of her other work, which it has to do with climate restoration and regeneration. So we're looking forward to seeing what comes out of all this. So thank you so much for coming, all you folks. And
That's it for our presentation, and I think we should just open it up to questions, comments. Anybody write some words down? I'm outraged. These people up here saying this crazy stuff. What kind of, any feedback out there?
Everything was just spot on for me.
yeah,
You know, the way it goes with me, I mean, a book falls in my lap right when I need it. Well, she sends me something right when I need it. And I am doing all of this. I am dealing with all of this. And this just pushes me much closer to...
oh good, well that's the intent.
Because, you know, you tend to go, like you were saying, you know, you tend to go back to your history and your victimhood and your limitations. And I always like Richard Bachman in Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and I keep repeating this to myself when I start limiting myself. Argue for your limitations and they're yours. But if you just open yourself up to this quantum magic, which I have to keep reminding myself to do, and I feel like I'm getting closer, and this is getting me closer.
Great, great. Well, thank you for sharing. We really
And you brought
appreciate
up
that.
limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Just, that's it. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now, is consciously letting go of all limiting beliefs, because we are unlimited beings. We're unlimited.
And it's an unlimited universe.
But we believe we're not. We believe we're just these little limited things, and we're magnificent. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you everybody.
So
for coming.
thank you, Connie and Andrew,
Thank you,
for
Rita.
this presentation
Yeah.
tonight. Thanks for coming, folks, and we hope that this is going to increase the population of trust freaks. As the folks
When you
who
graduate
have
from the course, you
done,
become a trust freak. F-R-E-Q-U-E, freak.
there are a few in the valley.
We're pretty silly, but we have
Yeah.
fun.
Sounds good to me.
We want to increase the population of trust freaks so we can walk forward and co-create the
Sweet.
world that wants to happen. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
Thank you.